So good morning, everyone. Welcome to this gentle yoga class. And before I have two kids now, my oldest daughter is going to turn 5 on Monday. And before, which is crazy, like once very quick. Before I had children, I taught yoga more frequently, and I taught quite a variety of styles. And now I'm really only able to get out of my house to come and teach one day a week today. And the reason that I teach this one class in a gentle style versus any of the other styles that I teach there's a few reasons, but really it's because I think that there's such value in slowing down, in being really present with our bodies, which for me personally is more difficult to do in a faster paced yoga class because everything's just moving a little more quickly. And also because when we do that, when we're more present and when we slow down and when we really have a chance to be in our bodies, we automatically begin to regulate our nervous systems and move more into a parasympathetic rest and digest versus fight or flight. So we become less stressed and more calm. And I know personally, especially since having children, I need that more and more. I need that opportunity to kind of push the pause button on everything that's happening outside of this space and just allow myself to be fully present in this moment and open to the experience of what's happening right now in my body. Because every day it's going to be different, whether you've been on your mat, this is your first time, or whether you have shown up consistently for 20 years. That never changes. The experience that we have in ourselves is different every day because we're different every day. Things are always changing. And so we'll practice that today, this idea of just kind of slowing down and being really present. So the first thing that I invite you to do is to find a comfortable seat. What does that look like? Ideally, I encourage you to sit up high enough on something so that the tops of your thighs are higher than your knees. Like I could even probably do like one more blanket and it would be more comfortable for me. So just taking the time to give yourself some props to help support your body and just notice the difference that you find there. Then you can kind of pull the flesh with your butt away from your sitting bones so that you're a little more grounded. And then close your eyes. Notice that as you close your eyes, you automatically draw your awareness inward. And this allows us to feel a little slower, to become present in a different way once we don't have the distractions of what our eyes are taking in around the room. So for some people, this can be challenging. And if you find that it creates more anxiety to close your eyes, and you could just keep your eyes slightly open and your focus really soft. And then from here, simply notice your breath. Becoming aware that your body is breathing without you even having to think about it. There's an inhale and an exhale. And notice the parts of your body where you feel your breath most clearly. And for most of us, that's typically kind of up in the chest or even in the shoulders, the throat. Maybe you notice it more in your nostrils. In yoga, we try to cultivate what's called an Ujjayi breath. And this is done by breathing in and out through the nose, if that's available to you, with a slight constriction in the throat so that your breath becomes more audible. So you could imagine just drawing breath in through your nose and down the back of your throat. And then as you exhale, the breath moves back out through the back of the throat, and maybe you kind of hear the sound of your breath. And then see if you could draw that breath down deeper into your low belly, so that you feel your lungs expand as you breathe in and the breath pull all the way down. Maybe your belly rises. And then as you exhale, the breath moves all the way back out and up. So when we simply slow down the breath and become more present to this automated function of the body, we signal to the brain that we're safe, that there's no reason to be in fight or flight or to have the nervous system activated. And we begin to just calm down a little bit more. Now shift your focus again and feel the parts of your body that are connected to your props and that are on the ground, and let them get really heavy. On your next breath in, lengthen up your spine, grow a little bit taller. Take your shoulders up, back, and down. Notice the very center of the top of your head. Lengthen up through there, and then see if you could line up that point, the center of the top of the head, right over the base of your spine. For most people, this will require leaning back just slightly. And then you could glide your hands back on your thighs until your elbows hang just underneath your shoulders. And come back to your breath. Notice if you've now created a more aligned structure in the body so that the flow of breath is more optimized, that the body can fill with breath more easily and the flow is smoother. And know that in yoga, the invitation is always to take what resonates with you, take what lands, take what makes sense for you that I say, and you just leave the rest. From here, see if you could drop your thoughts. And by that, I mean to disconnect the attachment to the thoughts as if you were watching your thoughts like they were a movie screen. Becoming aware that you are the viewer, the one who's doing the watching, and that the flow of thoughts and the story that the mind weaves is indeed something separate. And this act of stepping back and observing, that's meditation. Meditation is not sitting with our thoughts. That's what we do all day long. We're with our thoughts. Meditation is the act of remembering that we are not our thoughts, of witnessing the pattern of the thoughts, and of consciously practicing not getting caught up in them. And you will, we all do. And so the practice again and again is to slow down, step back, witness, notice when we forget and get caught up again, and practice that disconnection, that observation. So we're just going to sit in silence for about 30 seconds, seeing if we can drop into this place, this state. And then from here, bring your hands together in front of your heart, palms press. I invite you to set an intention for your practice today. It could simply be to slow down, to be more present, to focus on your breath. It could be something more personal, more expansive, like being able to do this once you leave your mat. Giving yourself permission to slow down, to not have to do the thing, to rest. And then we'll seal in our intentions and begin our class by taking 3 cleansing breaths. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, let it go with a sigh. And 2 more like that. And then gently bow your head to your heart. Slowly open your eyes and release your hands. And let's all come to hands and knees. So you can move your props off to the side. If you have socks on, you can take them off now so that you can grip your mat with your feet. And then come to a tabletop position. So tabletop is hands and knees with your wrists lining up under your shoulders and your knees lining up under your hips. The tendency is most people go too short, right? They walk their knees forward and shorten the side body. So you want to give yourself a little more space here. Then look down at your hands and spread your fingers evenly wide with your index fingers pointing straight ahead. From there, see if you could plug in your arm bones and melt your heart. So if you're not sure what that means, it just looks like this, where you're just sinking your chest down towards the ground and feeling your arm bones connect into their sockets. Then draw your low belly in, so engaging your core so that there's not a huge curve in your low back and your lumbar spine. So we'll call this neutral. Reach out through the crown of your head. And then as you inhale, you'll come into your cow tilt, which is lifting the sitting bones, softening the belly, melting the heart, taking the gaze up, so a little back bend. And then as you exhale, round through your back, tailbone lengthens down, pull your belly in, bring your chin to your chest like Halloween cat here. And then flow with your breath. Inhale to arch. Exhale to round. Moving with your breath and letting there be a flow between the breath leading the movement. So in all types of yoga, we're linking our breath to our movement. We're finding this union in the body and the prana of the breath and the connection to the mind. Inhale, come back to that neutral spine. And now walk your hands an inch forward and take them an inch wider. Maybe some of your fingers come off of your mat onto the floor. And then here we're going to find a big hip circle where your hips go back towards your heels and then over to one side, up towards that wrist and swing around to the other. It's just a big hip circle, doesn't matter which direction you go in first. And this could be as slow or as fast as feels good on your body. And the idea here is that by doing this way, we're practicing this art of being present. It's so difficult to stay present throughout the busyness of our lives. Where all of a sudden we're like, where did the day go? Where did the week go? Or the month or the year? So can we just slow it down? Can we really be fully here in this moment and notice when we're not? And the next time you come back towards center, you're gonna pause and switch direction, go the other way, which will probably be the way that feels a little more awkward. You could close your eyes here. And you don't worry about what you look like or what anybody else is doing. Focus on how it feels in your body. And then we'll come back to center. And now we'll move into child's pose. So your knees come wide, your big toes point and touch each other. Send your hips back towards your heels and stretch your arms out in front of you. Your forehead can come down to the ground. If it doesn't reach, you could stack your fists and bring your forehead to the top of the stack or use a block. So child's pose is your invitation to take a break, to reconnect, to find rest on your mat, and you can take it at any time. You could hang out in child's pose for the whole class, and I would ask if you're okay, just to make sure, but it would be totally fine. From here, walk your hands over to the right until you get a stretch through the left side of your body. You're just arching your spine over to the right, feeling more lengthened space in your intercostal muscles. Those are the muscles in between your ribs. And really lengthening from your left hip all the way up to your left armpit and then out through your left fingertips. Once you're here, you breathe. And then notice where you're holding on to tension or tightness. For many of us, this is in the tongue. You can relax your tongue and let it get heavy and wide on the lower palate. Relax your jaw. Inhale, come back through center and then walk your hands over to the left until you get a stretch through your right side body. So this is how I know I'm stressed, is at the end of the night, I'll feel like I'm like, oh, I've got this, I'm doing fine, I'm getting through. And then it's like my jaw feels like somebody poured cement in it. And I'm just clenching my teeth. It's like, oh, wait a second. That's where it's all going, right? It goes somewhere in the body. So once we kind of know what that is for ourselves, and those areas that we need to be more tender with or need a little more care, right? Like my jaw needs a little care. So in yoga, we witness those patterns in ourselves. We become a little more aware, can shine a light on that. Couple more breaths here, finding that length and space. Now from the right hip, the right side body, out through the right fingertips. Inhale, come back through center. And then from here, we're going to move into downward facing dog. So you can come up to your hands and knees and take a look at your hands. See that their fingers are evenly spread, index fingers parallel. You'll tuck your toes and then lift your hips, press them up and back as you move your legs towards straight. And find your down dog here. Now, down dog is considered a resting pose in yoga, but it certainly doesn't feel like it, especially the first one of the day, or especially the first, 1,000 that we do. So here, know that that's okay. And when it feels really super challenging, increase the awareness of the breath. You can even deepen your breath. You can pedal out your legs here, bend one knee and send the opposite heel towards the earth. Noticing where you're tight, where it feels challenging. Imagining that you could breathe into those spaces. From here, inhale, begin to walk your feet forward towards your hands. And exhale as you fold, bow over your legs, feet are parallel. So if your hamstrings are tight, like my hamstrings will always be tight, no matter how many years I do yoga. So these first couple forward folds, I keep my knees bent. So you could keep your knees bent, you could bring your hands up onto your blocks, create a little more space and ease in the body as you eventually work your legs towards straight. And then we'll find a little flow here where we inhale and lengthen our spine into a flat back. Glide your hands up the sides of your legs, take your shoulder blades on your back. So your back is flat and parallel to the ground. Take a breath in as you exhale, fold back in. Inhale, lengthen halfway to a flat back. Exhale, fold. More like that. One more, and the next time that you fold in, pause here. Now press down into your feet, and on your next breath in, inhale, reach your arms all the way up to the sky. And exhale, hands to heart center. Good, give yourself a breath here. Maybe you feel a rush of blood, especially if you're not used to inverting and having your head down like that. And then release your arms down by your sides. So you come to, in yoga, this is Tadasana, this is mountain pose. Look at your feet, see that they are parallel so that your toes aren't turning out. You want the outer edges of your feet to be parallel lines. And then lift your toes so that you feel your big toe mound, your pinky toe mound, and your heel on the earth. Keep that and soften your toes down. Lift your kneecaps so that you're engaging your quads, so your legs aren't just doing nothing, right? They're working. Muscles are hugging to the bone. And then you draw everything in towards the midline. The midline is the center line down your body. And energetically, we hug everything in. Yeah. Now turn your palms to face out. And notice what that does to your shoulders. Right, so let's do this. Feel that? We spend a lot of time like that, and it doesn't feel as good, right? Now turn your palms out, shoulder blades on your back. Yes, nice. So now we're open and expansive in the chest, but kind of what happens there is that then we do it a little too much and we pop our ribs forward and there's no engagement in the core. So you want to pull your ribs in. So you're knitting your hip bones and your rib cage together and engaging your tummy, your core. So here we have Tadasana, center of the head, right over the tailbone. This is the alignment that, believe it or not, you're looking for in every single yoga pose. You're looking to find Tadasana. Now press down into your feet, and as you breathe in, reach your arms up. Lengthen, root down through your feet, reach up through your fingertips. As you exhale, swan dive forward and touch the ground for your blocks. Inhale, lengthen halfway to that flat back. Exhale, bow back in. Press into your feet. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. So this is a half sun salutation. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands to your heart. We're going to add on to that. So inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, now step back into downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths in down dog. Then inhale, shift your weight forward to a high plank. So now your shoulders are over your wrists. You're pressing out through your heels. Bring your knees down. The tendency in plank, and you can look up here, is to lose the engagement in the core and kind of everything sinks down towards the mat. So we want to avoid that. You want to keep the belly drawing in, keep the shoulder blades on your back. Let's try to lift the knees Lift your knees, press out through your heels. Keep your plank super strong. Belly draws in. And then bring your knees back down. Now, we're going to lower all the way down to our bellies. To do this, you'll bring your chest slightly forward, like you're kind of pulling it in between your thumbs. Then, as you breathe out, bend your elbows back and see if, like a plank, you could lower all the way down. Come to lay on your belly. Good. Point your toes straight back. And notice if your shoulders kind of move way down towards your mat. Take your shoulders up, back, and down so your chest already starts to lift. That's really beautiful, you guys. Press the tops of your feet down. Now we're going to go into cobra pose. So to do that, we'll inhale, slide your chest forward and up, coming into a little baby cobra, a little back bend. Sides of the neck move back, head moves back. Then exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Exhale as you fold over your legs. Press into your feet, inhale, reach your arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart. So we're going to move through that same sequence. That's a full sun salutation. One variation of it. And we'll do it a little bit quicker this time, just with each movement is linked to one inhale or exhale. So in Tadasana, you have your hands at heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway to a flat back. Exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in and out here. Then inhale, come forward to a high plank. Bring your knees down. Exhale, lower your chest all the way to the earth. Point your toes, shoulders up, back, and down. Inhale, cobra, lift your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in and out here. Inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Exhale as you fold. Press into your feet. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up to the sky. And exhale, hands to your heart. And here, pause. You could bring your arms down by your sides, standing mountain pose in Tadasana. Keep your eyes closed or gaze soft. Feel what you feel. Feel the beating of your own heart. Maybe you feel some heat in your body. And then see if here you can relax the areas of tension that don't need to be there. Let go of the pressing of the tongue or the clenching of the jaw. Here you can smooth out your forehead, widen the corners of your eyes, relax your shoulders back and down, and see where you can bring in a little more ease here as you just hold space for the experience of your body doing yoga. Good. Now we're going to take a wide stance on our mats. You can face this wall with a row of legs. So you're going to take your feet pretty wide. The way that you kind of figure out what your ideal stance is to take your arms straight out in line with your shoulders and line up your ankles under your wrists. If that's not available due to whatever tightness is happening in your hips, then you can, of course, keep your stance a little shorter, but just know that that's the little trick to figuring out your ideal stance. Then bring your hands down to your hips and turn your right toes to face forward. So here, your right toes face forward and your heel lines up at the center of your back foot. So you may have to kind of toe heel your foot one way or the other to find that, but it's called heel to arch alignment. Most of you probably had your hips kind of turned towards your front leg here. You don't want that. You want them to stay facing this wall, but put a little bend in your front knee. Good. Keep your hips facing open towards that wall, but track your knee open towards your second toe. So look down at your front foot, find the second toe, your knee moves in line with that. Keep that, and then bend your knee more deeply. If your knee starts to move past your ankle, then you're going to widen your stance. You want the knee right over the ankle, or it could be a little bit behind. Then take your arms out in line with your shoulders again. Chest and hips still face that lit wall. From here, flip your palms, draw your shoulder blades onto your back, tone your belly. Keep that, turn your palms down, and gaze out over your right middle finger. So this is warrior two. Breathe. So these poses are called warrior, not warrior, warrior, for a reason, right? It's because they require a lot of strength, right? We have to be kind of brave and stand strongly in ourselves while we're here. So feel your feet on the ground, hug your legs in towards each other. See if you could keep your breath calm and steady, your gaze steady over that right middle finger. Notice when it starts to get more challenging or really difficult, and see if you could deepen your breath to stay. If there's ever pain, of course, come out of the pose, but most of the time people are surprised that yoga doesn't feel super relaxing while we're doing it. It's the effect afterwards that does. Now press into your right foot, straighten your right leg, bring your hands down to your hips, turn your right toes in. Take a moment, just pause here. And then we'll go ahead and switch sides. So your left toes turn out. You find that same heel to arch alignment. Once you have that, bend your left knee. If your knee moves past your ankle, you need a little more space. And eventually you're working towards getting that front thigh parallel to the ground, but it's not necessary to do ever. Extend your arms out in line with your shoulders. Flip your palms, draw your shoulder blades onto your back. While you do that, make sure you didn't pop your ribs forward. Keep your belly toned. Flip your palms back down, gaze out over your left middle finger, and breathe. See if you could bring the center of your head right over your tailbone. And then you find this balance, right? Each pose, we need this balance of effort and ease. And then we keep working that art of presence. Can you stay here? Can you notice when your mind starts to take you out of your body? Like, what should I eat after class? Later today. Or like, why did I come to yoga? I hate this. How long is she gonna hold us in this pose? And notice the pattern of the mind and see if you can remember that that's actually something separate from you. And you can say, no, thank you to it. Like, not right now, busy, come back later. Press into your front foot, straighten your front leg, hands to your hips, turn your left toes in. And from here, we're going to fold forward with feet parallel. So you could have your blocks in front of you here. You can also, if inverting, if taking your head below your heart isn't the greatest for you, then you could stay like this, with your hands on your hips. If you're folding all the way forward, you'll inhale and lengthen, and exhale. Keep hinging from your hips as you bring your head down. And hands could come to your blocks, they could come to the mat, they could stay at your hips. And just notice if there's a tendency to sink weight back in your heels and have your butt pushing back. See if you could kind of bring your pelvis more forward so that the weight comes over the arches of your feet. Inhale, lengthen halfway to a flat back again. Take a breath in and out here. Bring your hands to your hips if they're not there already. Draw your shoulder blades onto the back of the heart, and from the back of the heart, come all the way up to stand. Give yourself a second here. And now we're going to do one more round of standing poses. This time you will need blocks. You could put them kind of behind your heels here. Each foot. So that they're somewhere kind of where you can reach them when you need them. All right, now turn your right toes to face forward again. This time your right leg's gonna stay straight. We're gonna move into Trikonasana, triangle pose. There's a tendency here for the knee to kind of turn in. So everybody bend your front knee and line it up with that second toe again. So not your big toe, but the next one. And then you're gonna keep your knee tracking on that line as you straighten your leg. When you straighten your leg, the kneecap lifts, your quad engages again. If you are a hyperextender, that means that your leg actually moves past straight and you want to keep a little micro bend. But just kind of feel what feels best for you right now if you're not sure. And then extend your arms out in line with your shoulders again. This time, take a breath in. As you exhale, reach your fingers past your toes. You're getting long through the side bodies. Then exhale, bring your hand down to your block. You'll line it up kind of with the center of your shin. And your top arm comes straight up to the sky. And then see if you could rotate your chest so that it faces that blank wall in front of you. And maybe you take your gaze up into your top thumb. Beautiful. Just a few more breaths here. And put a little bend in your front knee from your top wrist. You come all the way back up. Exhale, hands to your hips. Right toes turn in, left toes turn out. Same thing here, heel to arch alignment with your front foot and your back foot. Put a little bend in your front knee and track it over your second toe. Once you have that, straighten your front leg. Feel that your leg is engaged, especially the top part of your quad, because this is how you can safely stretch your hamstring muscles, by engaging your quadriceps. Now take your arms out in line with your shoulders to a T. Breathe in. As you exhale, reach your left fingers past your toes and then bring your hand down. Find your block. It can come to the outside of your shin at any height. Right arm up to the sky, palm faces forward. And then take your gaze up into your top thumb. Maybe you start to rotate your chest towards that blank wall. Breathe. If you can relax any of those areas that are doing the pose that don't need to be. And then put a little bend into your left knee from your right wrist. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands to your hips. Both feet come back to parallel. We're going to fold forward one more time. So inhale, lengthen through the crown of your head. Exhale, hinge from your hips as you bow forward and fold. Resist your shoulders away from the ground here. Check in with the weight in your feet again. Can you balance it right over your arches? Inhale, lengthen halfway. Pause here. You can take as many breaths as needed. Bring your hands to your hips from the back of the heart. Inhale, come back all the way up to center. And then walk your feet together. Get out a little bit. And come to face forward on your mat. We'll do one balancing pose before we come down to sit on our mats. So here, we'll move into tree pose. You could bring all of your weight to your right foot and open your left knee out to the side. You have three options here for tree. You can keep the ball of your foot on the ground and have your heel to your ankle, and this could be your tree pose. If this is feeling like balance is, you know, a little bit of a challenge, then you stay here. You could slide your foot up to your shin, below your knee, or you could pick your foot up and move it above your knee to your inner thigh. But just can't press on the side of your knee because your knee is only meant to bend this way, not that way. And then when you're ready, reach your arms up. And here's the thing about these balancing poses, is that you have to be okay with them being imperfect. You have to be okay with swaying, with falling, right? With it being a little mutable. And I say that like it's an easy thing to do, and it's not. It's not easy, because we're like, we don't want to fall. We want to do it perfect. And then you can go ahead and release and shake it out. And set up for the second side. So bring all of your weight into your left foot. And you really want this leg to be stable. That's what's going to hold you, right? You open your right knee out to the side and do the same variation that you took on the first side, if that works for you here. Wherever your foot is, you're going to hug your foot into your leg and hug your leg back into your foot. That's going to help you. Reach your arms out. Find a focal point with your eyes. Keep it low if you feel like you're swaying a lot. If you feel pretty steady, take it higher. And then just like a tree, you know, in those like crazy storms where you see the tree like, yeah, moving, and you're like, oh my gosh, is it gonna break? But sometimes it does. But most of the time, you know, they're made to have this flow and movement because it's their root system, it's their foundation that's tethering them to the ground. Up top, they need that mobility. They need to be flexible. They need to be able to go with the flow. Okay, and then let it go. And let's come down to sit. So you can hydrate here. And then let's bring the soles of the feet together and then knees wide. You can move your flesh away from your sitting bones again. Press your feet towards each other. And so my feet sickle. This is what sickling looks like. It's where the soles of the feet kind of turn up. And do you see what's happening with my ankles there? They're not like a straight line anymore. So if I kept my foot like this and went to stand, right? I wouldn't be able to stand up and roll my ankle. So we want to find Tadasana, right? We want to imagine like we're standing with our feet on the ground. So you press the soles of your feet in towards each other and the inner ankles lift. What does that mean? Take your shin bones and imagine that they're moving up to the sky. Yeah, and keep pressing your feet into each other. That looks so much better. Feel the difference? Then inhale, lengthen your spine. Take your shoulders back so your chest is nice and open. Breathe in. And as you exhale, hinge from your hips. You start to fold forward. You find now what we call our edge, that place where, okay, that's far enough. You're not going to push yourself any further because it could result in injury, but you're also just slightly out of what's completely comfortable, and you feel some kind of stretch or sensation in the body. That's the edge, that little precipice. We want to go just up to it, but not over. With every inhale, there's a lengthening of the spine. Maybe you even kind of come out of the forward fold just slightly. And with every exhale, maybe you deepen into the bend a little bit more. The longer we're here, you notice what comes up. So the practice of yoga really shines a light on our patterns, really shines a light on what's happening within us on a daily basis. In my practice, especially when I take group classes like this, like I'm always met with my own inner frustrations, where a lot of times that gets projected out onto the teacher or with the yoga poses themselves, and just like, oh, I just want to get out of this. So you just notice what comes up, because what comes up is what's there. And in our lives, sometimes we're so busy, we're so distracted, we don't want to be with what's there. We want to keep going, we want it to go away. But in yoga, we meet ourselves, because yoga is a union. And once we do that, we realize that it's also a homecoming. We come home to who we really are. Inhale, come all the way up. Bring your hands to the backs of your thighs. Guide your knees back up to center. And then here, let's extend our legs straight out. Again, moving the flesh away from the sitting bones. Shake out the legs. And then hug your right knee into your chest. Pick up your right foot, cross it over your left leg. So sole of the foot's back down on the ground. Take your right hand behind you, close to your low back. So if you're back here, you kind of lean back like this. You bring it a little closer in, you can use your back hand as a kickstand to sit up a little taller, sit more towards the fronts of your sitting bones. Activate your left leg. So you flex your foot, you feel the entire length of the leg press down. Inhale, reach the left arm up in line with your ear, draw your belly in. Exhale, twist to the right. You could hook your elbows outside of your knee or wrap, whatever feels best. Every inhalation, there's a lengthening, and you slightly untwist. It's very slight, very subtle. And then with every exhale, maybe you come back into the twist, or maybe it deepens just a little bit. But you're letting the twist lead the way instead of forcing yourself or wrenching yourself into what you think the shape should look like. Inhale to unwind, little counter twist in the other direction. Come back to center. Now bring the sole of your right foot to your inner left thigh. Bring your hands to frame your left leg. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, fold over your leg. Remember that the goal is always Tadasana. So we're looking for a long spine. This may mean that you're not reaching your hands to your foot. Your head's not coming down onto your knee. That's okay. The pose doesn't have to look like that. The journey is to find the best variation of the particular pose for your body on this particular day. Inhale to rise. And exhale, switch sides. Extend your right leg out. Hug your left knee in. Pick up your foot, bring it to the outside of your right leg. Activate your right leg. Flex your foot. Feel the muscles of the leg come to the bone, and the whole leg presses down into the ground. Bring your left hand back behind you. Use it like a kickstand to sit up a little taller. Inhale your right arm up, draw your belly in, exhale, twist. The twist actually comes from like behind the heart, and the belly kind of stays facing forward, the navel. You could start to maybe look over your back shoulder. Perhaps you close your eyes, bring the awareness inward, and feel that little pulsation. In every yoga pose and in every moment that we're alive, there's prana, there's this life force energy. Nothing's really stationary, nothing's really stagnant. There's always this subtle movement, vibration. Inhale to unwind and exhale, little counter twist. Just walk your hands around. Inhale back to center, and now take the sole of your left foot, bring it to your inner right thigh. So this is tree pose that we just did, just in a different shape. There's only like, 16 yoga poses. You just do them in different relationships to gravity. Now bring your hands to frame your front leg. Inhale, lengthen, sit up tall. Exhale, hinge from your hips as you start to fold forward. Have your hands touch something. Could be the ground, could be your shin, could be your foot. And then with every inhale, the center of your head, the crown of the head lengthens either up towards the sky or out towards your foot. And with every exhale, there's a softening and a letting go. Inhale to rise. Go ahead and shake this out. And then we're going to get set up for a restorative Shavasana. So you could take a regular Shavasana, which is laying down on the ground, or you can try this restorative pose. So for this, some of you have done this with me before, or maybe with other teachers. You'll take your two blocks and they're going to make this little structure at the top of your mat. Yeah. So this will be, your head goes here. And then you take your bolster and you're just gonna rest it on top of that little structure, that foundation. So that makes it right. Then you'll take your two blankets. And one of them, you'll fold in half. So it looks like this, and cross it over the top like a T. That'll be a pillow for your head. And if you find that once you come down, that's not enough of a pillow, you could always do this and have a pillow like that. But start here and see what it does. And then your other blanket, you're going to open all the way up so that it's folded just in half with the fringe down. And then you'll lay that down on the ground and roll it up. Make a long, cool noodle blanket. Now, the trick to getting into this is to have your low back right up against the bolster so that when you come down, so what happens sometimes is people kind of start back like this and lay down, and then there's no support for your low back. You want your low back supported by the bolster. So you want to scoot your butt back and sit up like this. And then you'll bring the soles of your feet together, but your knees high, and take your blanket roll, bring it over top of your ankles. Then pull the edges back and kind of shimmy them under your hips, and then let your knees open. So you want the blanket to be taut and hold the shape of your legs. Do you feel that? And hands down by your sides. Inhale, lengthen. You could tuck your tailbone a little if your low back is sensitive. And then come on down. Adjust the blanket under your head. So here you want to, at a minimum, be comfortable. Ideally, you want a little feeling of, ah. If you don't have either of those, let me know. I'll either help you or you could just come into Shavasana. And if you prefer to be here on the bolster and just extend your legs out, that's fine too. Now in Shavasana, I will offer Reiki. Reiki is just a light energy that your body knows what to do with. If you don't want to receive Reiki, just raise your hand now. You won't be offended at all. Otherwise, you'll feel my hands on your head. So let's all take a deep breath in. Let it go with a sigh. And let go of anything that happened before this moment. Anything that's yet to come. And give yourself permission to fully rest, relax, and surrender into Shavasana.
Jump into your brow. Draw awareness back into your body as you wiggle your fingers and your toes. When you're ready, you can inhale your knees back up to center. Find a comfortable place where you could curl up on your side. You could either stay up on your bolster configuration or move it off to the side and lay on your mat. But just give yourself a few breaths, a few moments here in a little fetal position. And then slowly begin to make your way back up to find a comfortable seat. Once you arrive, close your eyes and bring your hands together in front of your heart. Take a moment and honor yourself for this practice today, for making the time to show up and be here on your mat, for doing your very best. Take a moment to honor everyone else in the room for their practice, their light, and this community that we share together. And then please call back your intention that you set at the beginning of class. Feel free to modify or change it in any way so that you can carry it with you for the rest of your day or your week. And then let's end our class and seal in our intentions one final time with a cleansing breath. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Gently bow your head to your heart. The light within me recognizes and honors this very same light in each one of you. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you all so much for your practice today. Have a wonderful day and rest of your week. Next week, I will not be teaching because it's my daughter's birthday party, but I will be back the week after. And then the week after that, I believe, after this class, I'm going to teach a Reiki guided meditation that will be held in a restorative pose. It's about 45 minutes, start to finish. I'll take you through a guided Reiki experience and also be giving Reiki during that time. So it's a very powerful meditation, similar to what I do in my Reiki trainings. So if you're interested in that, you could sign up or you could use your class cards to enroll. So thank you guys so much and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.